another late-breaking item. Both starting tackles for the Kansas City Chiefs, Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, placed today on the COVID-19 reserve list. We don't know if they tested positive or whether they were in close contact with someone who did. Either way, Peter, you start doing the math, and you quickly get to the conclusion that the Chiefs are going to be in the same spot the Raiders were in several weeks ago, although the Raiders were missing their entire starting offensive line during the practice week. The Chiefs are going to be down their two starting tackles until Saturday, and they play Sunday night.
Look, this is one of those things that I think, Mike, at the beginning of the year, we thought that if Patrick Mahomes, let's say, for instance, had a large part of his front wall decimated for a week or two and they couldn't play because of COVID, that the NFL might say, well, this is one of those things that we might want to postpone a game, and we might want to create a Week 18 so that we made sure that we are not putting Patrick Mahomes in harm's way. But they've sort of now drawn the line in the sand and said, no, this is what the practice squad is for. And if you have to play two or more replacement players, even in front of the most valuable player, contractually anyway, in all of football, you better get those guys ready and you better be able to play. So, Mike, I don't think that, first of all, you're going to see Clark Hunt or Andy Reid or Brett Veach calling the league office and say, hey, cut us a break here, put this in Week 18. I think you're going to see the Chiefs saying, okay, next man up and let's go.
Yeah, Peter, I think you're right. At some point, about halfway through the season so far, and I think it was that Raiders-Buccaneers game where the attitude became, screw it, we're getting these games in. We're going forward. You don't have your guys?
Torpedoes.
Too bad. Get ready. Yeah, guy just walked in the door today and he's got to play tonight. That's on you. You don't have enough guys on the practice squad to fill in for the guys who are gone. That's not our problem. We are getting these games in because I think, as you've said before, if they would bump it a couple of days to accommodate the Chiefs and give them a chance to get Fisher and Schwartz ready to go, there's no guarantee it's going to be any better because of the incubation period, because of that donut hole in the sample collection and sample result. You've got to kick the ball when it's on the tee because you never know when that virus known as Lucy is going to snatch it away from you and screw things up. So Sunday night, game on. Too bad if you're down your entire offensive line and Patrick Mahomes, the most important player in the league, is left to fend for himself. We're getting this game in.
Mike, a lot of people are going to look at that and say this is idiotic. It's a huge mistake. There's a reason why you've made it possible to have a Week 18. Use it. And I think my attitude is, look, it's very early in the week. You just don't know. If they lost their entire offensive line, including backup players, I think then you're going to have to really ask yourself the question, should they play this game? And my answer would be no, absolutely they shouldn't. But a lot of people have asked in recent weeks, why not just use this? Why not push it back? And again, I know we've talked about this, but I think it's really important to realize that, the NFL in the middle of March, with free agency 3 or 4 days away, basically when the pandemic really hit the United States, the NFL said, hey, full speed ahead. We're going ahead with free agency. And the reason why? Because there was no guarantee it wasn't going to get any better. And it didn't get any better. Exact same thing happened with the draft. Did it get any better? No, not for a couple of months after that. And so I think they're going to do the exact same thing here. I think the one place, and it's only the one place, where I wouldn't be surprised if there was some time taken is the Super Bowl. Because once you get down to one final game, if there is a significant outbreak on one side or the other, I think they might say, okay, we're putting these two teams in a bubble, in two separate bubbles, and we're going to do that, and then we'll play the game in 2 weeks. But before that, even if there is a bubble in the playoffs, Mike, I doubt sincerely that unless there is a real widespread outbreak, that they're going to be postponing many games.
And the reality at this point, Peter, and you had a quote from an unnamed league official in Football Morning in America today, there's a sense of beat the clock when it comes to the pandemic.
Yes.
The numbers are going up dramatically in all the communities where the NFL has teams and everywhere else in the country. Get the games in. Get the games in. That's the attitude. They don't want to postpone anything because we don't know that there even will be a Week 18 or a Week 17. It could be that they ultimately have to pull the plug after X number of games. So get every game in before we get to the point where the house of cards potentially would collapse on the NFL. So I think that's a big part of it, too. There's an urgency to get every game played, regardless of any strategic realities that could impact one team or the other.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.